All right, let's call to order the Monday, October 28th, 2024 Historic Preservation Commission meeting. Kelly, would you please read the roll?
Kathy Acton. Here. Patrick Boyd.
Here.
Gene Hackbarth.
Here.
Alderperson Hansen.
Here.
Mark Reinhart.
Here.
Jane Schueller.
Here.
Mary Ann Schumerth.
Here.
All right, thank you. Item 2, approval of the minutes of the August 26, 2024 Historic Preservation Commission meeting.
I move approval of the minutes.
I'll second.
We got a motion by Gene, seconded by Patrick, to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Any comments, corrections on the minutes?
None.
All right. If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 3, public comments upon matters not on the agenda. Please note that comments made during the public comment period shall pertain only to matters under the jurisdiction of the Historic Preservation Commission. Does anybody have anything? Oh, first, before I get there, we are excited to welcome a new member tonight, a new commissioner, Mary Ann Schumerth. We are now fully staffed, and Mayor Boyd nominated her recently, and then the City Council approved her nomination. So, Mary Ann, do you want to just say a few words about your background and why you're interested in joining the commission?
Well, I'm a lifelong resident of De Pere. I really enjoy living here, and I want to help prepare De Pere for the next generation. So this is exciting for me. Background-wise, I am retired. I spent 32 years as a paralegal legal assistant, and I am quite involved in the community and want to become more involved. So here I am.
Awesome. Well, we're very happy to have you. So.
Thank you.
All right, any other public comments? I think, Gene, you had something?
I do.
Okay, you want to go, Gene?
Okay. This is an item not on the agenda, but it is something that I will bring back to the HPC for the February 2025 meeting agenda. My wife and I, Kathleen, we have an early 2025 house repair projects scheduled for 933 Oakdale Avenue. Our site is listed on the state and national registers and also listed as a local landmark. City officials noticed that we have to apply for a certificate of appropriateness at this February 2025 De Pere Historic Preservation Commission meeting, because one of the projects, repair projects, includes installation of a sump pump. And after checking with the proper city officials in planning, I found that it is required to have a, what is it called?
Certificate of appropriateness, COA.
No, it has to be approved by the Plan Commission.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that this project can move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Once that takes place, I will bring that along with this request for certificate of appropriateness.
Okay, sounds good. And for the newer members, Gene had his house added to the local register, I think about a year or two ago. April, yep, of last year. So, all right, so we'll look forward to reviewing that request.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the heads up.
Okay.
And Peter did have Gene's house there on the projector. So, yep, 933 Oakdale. So,
Okay. Right.
all right.
Hopefully they can bury the line.
Hopefully what?
They can bury the outside line.
Oh, we have a rain garden
Oh, well then hopefully not.
that we put in back in 2006.
Yes.
And it's an excellent diversion
Yeah.
for,
Yeah.
at this point in time, We have a small sump pump from the addition.
I mean,
And we also have 2/3 of the rain gutters
Yeah.
flowing into that.
neat.
All right. Any other public comment, either on the commission or out in the public? I don't see anyone in the public, so. All right, we will move on. Item 4, discussion about information learned by the Historic Preservation Commission members who attended the 2024 Local History and Historic Preservation Conference on October 16th through the 18th, 2024 in Appleton. Discussion led by HPC members who attended the conference. I believe that was Gene and Patrick?
I think Mark, did you?
Mark.
I wasn't there.
Oh, you weren't?
Okay.
Okay, so just you. All right.
Did you go?
No, couldn't.
Okay.
Want to start us?
I didn't go.
Oh, you didn't go?
Those two I thought were going. So
Okay.
I knew you did.
Okay, I did go.
Okay, awesome.
Let me give a report from the conference. It was called the Local History and Historic Preservation Conference, as you see on the screen. And it is actively involved in promoting not only information and research for historical societies around the state, but it also brought together over 370 people from throughout the state, as well as some people from Iowa, Washington, D.C., and Minnesota. These are the conferences that I attended, and I'll give a brief summary of what they were all about. I attended a conference called Partnering with U.S. Madison to Explore Local History. I found out that for the past 10 years, there has been an organization that, through the State Historical Society, is actively involved in recruiting students from University of Wisconsin-Madison to provide assistance to individual communities. There are credits that are involved in that after the program is completed, and it is agreed upon by the actual committee that sponsors these people. It was very, very good, and a lot of work has been done as a result of that communication between historical societies around the state, as well as UW-Madison students. The second program that I attended was called Local History Engagement Through Digital Humanities. One of the fascinating things that I found, it expanded my horizons relative to artificial intelligence. It's extremely important these days in order to grab younger people who are very much interested in historic preservation, but would like to take a little bit different path and grab more extensive information, not only from the US, but also European countries. And one of the other things that they do is they provide opportunities to utilize laser beams to, through the use of the things that fly around,
Drones?
Oh, drones.
drones, through utilizing drones for interior as well as exterior information. And it provides architects with the opportunity to go ahead and repair a building inside or out that is done to the cheese. Fascinating thing. All of it is done on computer. Architects these days, I'm finding, very seldom sit at an architect's table. they're in front of their computer screens. And this was one of the examples that comes through, and it's making a strong impact on architectural firms throughout the entire world at this point. The last conference that I attended was a workshop on historic woods. There are two examples that were presented by this gentleman from the U.S. Park Service. Dealt with, we may be familiar, in Door County, there is the Potawatomi Tower, okay, observation tower, and there's also the Eagle Point Tower. The Eagle Point Tower was at the middle of a major request to find out not only what type of wood it was made out of originally, but also what type of woods are available today throughout the world, not just Wisconsin, but how this type of wood could meet current day needs. And the gentleman from the National Park Service was extremely pleased with the type of work that had been done by the State Historical Society, as well as the local residents who wanted to continue to see the Eagle Point Tower not only available, but also available and accessible to people of all means. Basically, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. But those were the key points that I wanted to bring to your attention.
Thank you very much, Gene. That's very informative. We appreciate you attending and reporting back to us. So,
Okay.
Mary Ann, did you go?
No, I did not.
does anybody have any other questions for Gene? All right, well, thanks again,
Sounds
Gene.
interesting.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's very interesting.
She was there.
Right.
What did I just do?
So that was a discussion only item. Yes.
I just wanted to let you know that at our next meeting, I would like to provide you with the entire commission with information that I got from the Wisconsin Historic Preservation Commission and their program that was held at Taliesin last Friday and Saturday.
Oh, wow.
It was extremely valuable information. And I'll have this available. I'll send a computer link to it, okay?
Peter, yeah. Do you have anything, Peter? Or
No.
okay.
I don't, I wasn't,
I saw you turn the microphone on, so I was just
Oh,
want to
sorry
make
about
sure. No, yeah, you're up next, so that's why.
Okay, I'm not interested in getting any type of refunds for the travel expenses. Okay?
All right. So item 5, consideration and possible action to select a consultant to prepare nomination paperwork for the federal and state designation of 127 North Broadway Street, also known as the old State Bank of De Pere building, funded by a 2024 CLG grant that was awarded to the City of De Pere. Peter, do you want to kind of kick this off here?
sure can. We submitted an RFP about a month or two ago to 6 qualified candidates. Typically, we send these RFPs out to about 4 candidates, and then are able to select one and then present that for you to pick for us as our consultant for our projects. This year, we did send it out to 6. 4 of them responded saying they were unable to offer services. And unfortunately, that did include our last 2 consultants that we utilized. So they're not on the list. But the two that did respond with interest were University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, the Archaeological Research Laboratory Center, and Legacy Architecture, Inc., which is out of Sheboygan.
Yeah.
I asked Jonathan if he could look at it with me because I held them in my hands and said, these are two very qualified candidates. I'm familiar with a few people from UWM because I went to college there. But the Legacy Architecture is not looking any worse than the UWM response. I think Jonathan kind of came into the same tie feeling as I did. And rather than saving time, we felt it would be best to set them on the table and let us decide as a group which consultant that I should proceed with hiring to develop this project for us. In terms of price, they're both very close. One is offering $5,845. The other is $5,750. They're less than $100 apart. So price really isn't a factor in this one. If you have feelings for better or for worse for one, let us know, and that will be the consultant that we proceed with.
Gene?
Okay. I know 3 of the people who work at Legacy Architecture out of Sheboygan. And in fact, they are currently working on a project on De Pere's west side in the Main Avenue Historic District. Okay. The project includes Credo, the restaurant right next to it, as well as the old Martin photography store. Okay. She also has experience in De Pere. She did the historic structures report about 20 years ago on the lockkeeper's house in De Pere. She's actively involved in work for as a volunteer on the board for Wisconsin Association of Historic Preservation Commission. I would highly recommend Legacy.
Okay. Other thoughts?
I read both of them quite at length, and I mean, they both looked stellar to someone of my limited. But I noticed, Gene, that they did a lot of those older homes in Alloway.
They
There were
did,
a number of them when you looked at Legacy.
Oh, okay.
In the Alloway area and in the residential district, I did notice that Miramar, streets like that.
Sunset.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other comments on this?
Would you like to entertain a motion, or is that up to Peter?
Nope, that's
I
somebody.
can't make a motion.
Nope, somebody can make a motion on the commission, so.
I make a motion that we recommend that the City Historic Preservation Commission hire Legacy Architecture for this project.
Second.
Motion by Gene, seconded by Jane to hire Legacy Architecture to prepare the nomination forms. Any other discussion on this? Yeah, the other thing too I would add about Legacy that I liked was they did work on the Horicon State Bank building, which is very similar to this State Bank of De Pere building that we'll be doing. So,
Yeah.
Good.
but we certainly appreciate UW-Milwaukee submitting the application or the bid. I know they've done that a few times before. We've gone with Tim Hagelin. He had a much lower bid in the past, but he did not bid this time. So, all right. If there's no other discussion, all those in favor of the motion to hire Legacy Architecture, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6, consideration and possible action on ARPA-funded historic district descriptive signage. Presentation by Jane, myself, and Patrick. I'll just give a quick rundown here. So Jones Sign Company is the company that we hired to print the signs. They're the same company who printed the plaques that we've been distributing to people's houses to put on their houses. It's going to be actually pretty much the same material that was used. So that was something that was attractive about Jones Sign's offer. We're already very familiar with the material, and it's going to be consistent with the plaques. We did finalize the language or the content that's going to be on the signs, and we did share that with Joan Signs. That language did go before not only the three of us on the subcommittee, but also Peter looked at it, and I also copied Amanda Reef from the De Pere Historical Society. So Joan Sign is in the process of printing the signs. The next really big thing that we need to focus on is pinning down the locations. So we decided on where we wanted to install all the signs, but there was some feedback from the Department of Public Works that they provided recently to Peter, some things that we should keep in mind. So Peter, do you want to maybe just summarize kind of the feedback you got from DPW?
Sure. That is actually what I put into your staff report. Their primary concerns were making sure that there are not excuse me, private utilities in the areas that the signs are being proposed. DPW is able to look for our city public utilities, but private utilities that utility companies might have put in could become problematic, particularly because in the last couple of years we've seen companies like TDS putting things in the ground that we didn't know about a couple of years ago, and other companies could have things there. And also, when we talk private, there could be things that a private homeowner has put into those areas that we need to be aware of. Oftentimes, we'll start digging a hole and find that we're breaking the water line of somebody's lawn sprinkler system. They are supposed to have a revocable occupancy permit through my office to be able to do that, and some people do, and every now and then we find somebody who hasn't. And that's why in my staff recommendation, we did list some things to think about when looking for those private utilities, and making sure that, if we're in the front yard of somebody's yard, we might want to make contact with them. First, to make them aware that a sign is showing up so they don't get upset that somebody's digging in their front yard, even though it's not technically the part of the yard they own, but they do maintain it. And also to catch things like finding out that they might have a sprinkler system. The other concern is making sure that we are far enough away from intersections. This is to help and make sure that the sign that we're putting in isn't blocking a more important sign like a stop sign or a yield sign. And then just talking to the adjacent property owners to make sure that they're aware of the project. Usually people don't have problems with things like this. What they do have problems with is not knowing that projects like this are going on. So it's kind of like the art of knowledge when we were doing the individual home signage program. In years past, we had a lot of pushback from the neighborhoods. The last cycle, when we did the ones that we were handing out just this year, we went door to door and told everyone what it was about, and we had like one, maybe two property owners that were concerned, simply because people were aware of the fact that we were doing it. So with that, our staff recommendation is resolving the bullets that are listed there, your items 1 through 3, and we also kind of broke them down into subcategories. A couple of the issues where it says staff is taking care of, we've already done that. So where you see the check for revocable occupancy permits, our staff has already taken care of checking. We didn't find anything.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, so I think for the subcommittee, the next things are obtaining stakes from DPW, placing them in the locations, calling Diggers Hotline, and then also notifying the property owners who are adjacent. So.
Good.
Will all of that be covered by staff, or what's your?
This is a U project, so we don't have staff that's just able to be doing that. We can certainly help you. So like if all of a sudden you run into a problem, you can, but
Okay.
yeah, we don't have staff hours allocated to be working on this project for you. But we certainly can help when and where we can.
Okay.
I know for the White Pillars thing we put down, the plaque we put down for the North Broadway district.
Yep.
I found a spot for that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
That was going to be my
Yeah,
next
there's
thing I was going to bring
Mary Ann and Mark know this, I'm sure. There's that time capsule in the ground.
Yep.
Yeah, so kind of right where the time capsule is.
Okay.
And it gets far enough away. But that said, I don't know when we should put it up because the construction,
Yeah.
I'd wait.
right? Would it go that? Yeah, it's got to all be torn up. Yeah, so we'll kind of hold off on that until.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so we do have to spend the money, Peter, by the end of the year. I know we've talked in the past about maybe delaying installation for one or more of the signs until next year. I don't know if you can comment on that.
Yeah, my understanding with the project is we need to spend the money, and we need to have the project designated for being done.
Okay.
But the money needs to be spent by the end of calendar year. So that money being spent actually is occurring because we had to pay for them to start making the signs. We had to make a down payment, and then we have to make a final payment when the signs come into our hands.
Yep.
Good.
And that is targeted to occur prior to the end of the year. It may not mean that the signs are physically in the ground yet.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, as long as we spend the money before the end of the year, we can designate the signs actually going into the ground on January 2nd or a date after.
Okay.
Good. Then we're covered.
And Peter, do you know if Jones is going to be providing us with proofs before, or are they already moving to print?
They're doing proofs just like they did with
good.
the other signs. They did promise me that.
Okay. Sounds good.
And who installs them? Does Jones install them or does the city?
Jones, I believe that's part of the
Yeah, I think we.
cost. Yeah.
I hope we.
Yeah, I'm pretty
got
sure
right
that
in
was part of the
contract.
quote.
We had established that they were going to not only make the sign but provide a pole and place it into the ground. The assumption in what they quoted us is that they're going into simple dirt ground, not blazing through concrete or something like that.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yep.
Sure.
Any other discussion on this? Okay. Yep. Make a motion to accept the staff recommendation to resolve the bullet points. Is that good, Peter? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right. Motion by me, seconded by Patrick to approve the staff recommendation to resolve the bullet points. Okay. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 7, consideration and possible action on preparing national and state historic designation documentation for a 2025 CLG grant application. Presentation by Jean and Patrick. There's not too much to say on this, but
Okay.
you want to...
Let's start it.
You get it going, yeah.
Okay. There was a committee that was put together from HPC members, and the basic thrust of it was to report to all members of the committee to identify up to 6 national, state, and local level historic designation properties, and suggested focusing on properties from the 2017 intensive survey. Since the letter of intent is due by the middle of September, discussion followed, and it was decided to identify the following properties. I'll list those properties and then the research that Pat and I have done. St. Norbert Abbey was listed for state and national recognition. That's St. Norbert Abbey, 1016 North Broadway.
That was the 2001 survey that was in.
2001. Okay.
That's when it was first identified.
Alstrom Nicolay Paper Mill, state and national recognition for 200 Main Avenue. Old St. Boniface Church, currently Dudley Burder Hall at 400 Grant Street, state and national recognition. The old post office located at 416 George Street. Submission for state and national listing. 903 Fox River Drive, state and national designation. The CA Lawton Apartments, 233 North Broadway, local designation.
that pretty much covers, we didn't have much contact on this, but you pretty much covered everything right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I do want to let people know, however, is that under the criteria that is listed by the state and national for listing includes for St. Norbert Abbey, number one, eligibility could be determined by the property deriving primary significance from architectural or artistic distinction or historical importance. B, a birthplace or grave of an historic figure of outstanding importance if there is no other appropriate site or building directly associated with his or her productive life. My suggestion would be that that would be Abbot Pennings, a Norbertine who established the Norbertine, St. Norbert College, as well as St. Norbert Abbey in the late 1800s.
Could also be Father Robert Cornell, one of only 2 priests ever serve in Congress. He's also buried there.
Yes.
But you're right, though. I think Pennings would be yeah.
Okay. A property primarily commemorative in intent, if design, age, tradition, or symbolic value has invested it with its own historical significance. D, a property achieving significance within the past 50 years, if it is of exceptional importance. St. Norbert Abbey was constructed and completed in 1956. And those items, qualities for listing, come directly from the National Park Service and the National Register Bulletin 16A. How to complete the National Register registration form. It's available online at nps.gov/nr/publications/bulletins/NRB16A. That covers our work on St. Norbert Abbey and the possibility of it reaching state and national listing. The next one, Alstrom, Nicolay Mill. I have not been able to get the background information on Alstrom, other than the fact that it has been there that's not Alstrom in that name, but the building, main portion of the building, has been there since the 1890s, I believe, 1892. So that is a possibility. There's more work that would have to be done to gain the importance for listing. Old St. Boniface Church or Dudley Burter Hall at 400 Grant Street. The criteria considerations: ordinarily reconstructed historic buildings, reconstructed from the inside. Okay, basically that. Some of those items could have an impact on it getting listed on the State National Register. However, the exterior of the building has been retained by St. Norbert College ever since it has become part of their property buildings. Ordinarily reconstructed buildings, properties primarily commemorative in nature, and properties that have achieved significance within the past 50 years shall not be considered potentially eligible for the National Register. However, such properties will qualify if they are integral parts of districts that do meet the criteria, if they fall within the following categories. For instance, St. Norbert College Historic District currently has 10 properties listed as of February 2017. St. Boniface Church, now Dudley Burter Music Hall, was not included in the St. Norbert College Historic District. My thinking is that there would be a strong movement made to incorporate the old St. Boniface Church, now Dudley Burter Music Hall, into the St. Norbert College Historic District. I would see that as being an important element here. Next. 200 Main Avenue, Shattuck and Babcock Paper Mill, now Alstrom Paper Mill. I haven't been able to get all of the background information. It's possible that much of that information is included in the 2001 historic survey.
Yeah, I believe it is. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And 903 Fox River Drive, I have not been able to get that background information for that property. I also want to mention that the C.A. Lawton Apartments at 233 North Broadway is currently listed since 1992 on the state and national registers. It is currently not listed as a local landmark. Mm-hmm. So there are some opportunities there for encouraging local landmark registration.
Awesome.
That's what I
Thank
have
you very
right
much,
now.
Gene. Yep.
Good job, Dean.
And we did send out letters to all 6 of those, I think early September. And unfortunately, we did not hear back from any of them. Now, to be honest, we did give them a tight timeline. I think it was only like 10 days. We put on the letter, please let us know if you're interested by such and such date. And that was to align of when we needed to apply for the CLG subgrant. So I think next year we should consider sending out the letters after the June meeting, improving the list of the 6 in June. That way they give them a couple of months, so a little bit more time to respond. I think the next steps, though, obviously we could send out letters again next year, but we could maybe try to directly reach out to some of these property owners, like reach out to St. Norbert or the Abbey and, say, following up on that letter, is this something you're interested in? It's too late now for next year to try to get a grant, but we're still working on the State Bank of De Pere building anyway for next year. But yeah, I think, ideally for 2025, 2026 cycle, we would like to get a grant for one of these properties.
Just to add to that, the program the conference that I attended at Taliesin is called Saving Wisconsin's Sacred Places. It doesn't necessarily mean just church property, but it does include not-for-profits. For instance, White Pillars Museum. Okay, there are opportunities that are available for getting historic tax credits through another for-profit person or business. It has been done already successfully in Green Bay at the YMCA downtown. Okay, and there are all kinds of opportunities that have gone through successfully throughout the entire state. And I would be willing to get additional information on who is doing that type of work and providing it to the Historical Society, for instance, to St. Norbert College, to St. Norbert Abbey.
Awesome. Good.
I'm willing to do that.
Yep. All right. Thank you, Gene. Good. Any other questions or comments on this? All right. So I think we can determine that the project's complete and approve as a completed project since we aren't submitting any for this cycle, since we didn't get any interest from the 6 we sent letters to, but we'll keep trying going into next year. So I'll make a motion to mark the project as complete and approve as completed project.
And refer it to, what, June 2025?
You know, we don't have to do that in the motion, but yeah, that's our understanding, yeah, for next year. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
All right.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by me, seconded by Gene. Peter, do you have anything to add? No, okay. So determine the project's completed and approve as a completed project for this year. And again, next year we'll take it up again. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 8, consideration and possible action on preparing local historic designation documentation for consideration by HPC and Common Council. Presentation by myself and Mark. This is very similar to the last agenda item, looking at trying to get properties added to the local register. As Gene just mentioned, the only one of the 6 that we targeted for local designation was the CA Lawton apartment building. And unfortunately, again, they did not respond. So at least for this year, we do not have any candidates for the local register, but it's something that we're going to have to keep focusing on for next year. Because the local designation does give the property more protection than just on the national and state register, because they have to get a certificate of appropriateness whenever they want to make alterations, as Gene mentioned at the start of the meeting. So, so any questions on that? All right, I'll make a motion to determine that this project is also complete and approve as a completed project.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by me, seconded by Mark to mark this as a completed project. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 9, consideration and possible action on HPC Educational Program Number 2 project related to history of street names. Patrick and Mark, you want to give us an update?
Yeah, we just, Mark and I met with Andy last week, and we put together the first program on Reed Street. So he has the stuff that he needs, and now I'll be taking pictures with a fellow volunteer at White Pillars to the places what they look like now. Mm-hmm. So we'll be done with that by the first one. We'll be done with that probably by next week, and then the video will be on our website, the one at the the Preservation Commission website. And then the second one, we want to focus on a street name again on the east side, looking at old structures. Yeah, and we want to stay away from residences, so we want to focus on businesses, obviously. So George Street will be our second one, possibly, because we have tons of old pictures of George Street, and we can show the new buildings now compared to the old ones. Mark?
So are you going to talk about like how George Street got its name then?
Yep, we'll do that.
Yeah.
We'll do all that stuff. Just like with Reed Street, we have the history of Andrew Reed. That's part of the
Andrew Reed is.
presentation.
Yep.
And a lot of the photographs on Reed Street deal with the 1991 reconfiguration of Reed Street, where they tore all those houses down and all the new buildings there.
Yep.
So, and we have some older ones too. So Mark Gullick and myself will go there and take pictures of what it was back then, in either 1990 or in the 1800s, and what's there now. The businesses, not any residences, because we don't want to infringe. But there's no residence is on that street, so that's not a problem.
Right, and then Andy is going to get all of that information onto the website, for the city's website, under the Historic Preservation Commission area, and it'll be available to the public through that means.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Yeah, and we gave all the groundwork to Andy. Andy was very happy because we had all the stuff for him.
Yep. Right.
He's just going to configure the stuff, put it together.
Right.
But all the wording and stuff was already done.
Great.
He did say there was some difficulties with some of the images that he would have to put online, having to do with, what was the problem there? The people with difficulties in seeing.
Disabilities,
or
yeah.
disability or that type of thing. So it might take longer than what we thought. So,
Okay.
but he'll be working on that.
Yeah.
And he's really good at
Yes.
what he does. So
And
he'll
he's very enthusiastic because we basically had 100% of the stuff was done.
Yep.
And now he's just going to put it together.
Right. We presented most everything to him, and he was very happy to take it run with it
Yep.
and get it online.
And he's got the talent and the skills
Yes.
Yeah.
to meet those disability.
Exactly, yeah, and he
Yes, he
even
will.
mentioned that too, yeah, but
It's a
even,
resolution.
Excellent.
yeah.
Yeah.
Assuming.
I really like that.
Yep, it's a great project. All right. Thank you guys for all your work on that.
You're welcome.
So yeah, we do try to do 2 education projects per year, and so that's one of them. So, all right.
And can I make a suggestion? If Mary Ann wants to get on some committee, you can jump aboard with Mark and myself if you
Yeah.
want. It's always good to have another person
Yeah, definitely.
to find,
Sure.
pictures and stuff at
Yep.
White Pillars.
Great. Awesome. So we just need a motion on whether to determine that this project is complete. I mean, I guess, Peter, you want to talk?
Yeah, the real question is there anything about it sounds like you're going to be finishing up with Andrew and publishing this in the next couple of weeks or next couple of months. Is there any reason that you need to bring something back here for review or approval? If the answer is no or probably not, we probably can close this up as a completed project, knowing that it's going to run through the end of the year.
Okay, I'd make a motion that this is a completed project.
Second.
All right. Motion by Patrick, seconded by Jean. Mark this as a completed project. So this will not be coming back to HBC, but it will continue the rest of this year. So, all right. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 10, consideration and possible action on HPC creating a procedure for submitting preliminary assessment to Wisconsin Historical Society on behalf of the property owners. I'll kind of speed this up since we got to be done by 7, but to be honest, we haven't done too much work on this yet. I think it's something that is going to have to be a priority going into next year. We've had a lot on our plate this year with the historic plaques and the residential historic district signs. Basically, though, we want to help residents submit the application to see if they can, get an assessment, preliminary assessment from the Wisconsin Historical Society on whether their property might be eligible. And then if it is potentially eligible, then that can be a candidate in the future that we could try to get a CLG subgrant to get nominated to the national and state register. So there is an online application, one thing we can talk about is, what do we want to do in terms of gathering those requests? Do we want to create like an online application where a resident can submit, they want their property reviewed, or they want to come back to the HBC meeting, or?
The form is actually on the Wisconsin
Right, yep.
Historical Society website.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be valuable for all of the members of HPC to look at that and to be able to answer questions that potential listing property owners might have.
Peter, do you have anything to add, or?
I don't. This is a project that we kind of it evolved kind of through the summertime, and then
Yep.
we had our meeting with Jason from Wisconsin Historical Society. It became something that, we think we can do it. We just haven't found that time to complete this project. It sounds like the solution here is really to just kind of close this up as a 2024 project that we just don't have time for, and recreate it as a new 2025 project.
Right.
Good.
And I'll just note, there is a property owner on Wabanakwa Lane who has already expressed interest in seeing if she can get added to the National and State Register. So I think she would be a good first candidate to go through this process with.
We come back at this, yeah.
So it's a way for us to get a preliminary assessment without hiring a consultant. Wisconsin Historical Society will do that for us at no charge. So, but we just have to help the homeowner submit the application. So.
Could you give me that address again on Wabanakwa?
It's that old farmhouse.
It's the old
right?
farmhouse,
That
yeah.
white farmhouse. So it'd
Okay.
be on the east, maybe on the west side of the street,
Got it.
Yep.
the old Gearin house.
Okay.
So Peter, should we do a motion to complete this then, or?
I would close it and
Close it out.
and, with directive to recreate it as a new 2025 project.
Okay.
Do you want to word that?
Someone to make that motion?
I make a motion to close out the project and reinstate it for 2025.
Second?
All right, motion by Jane, seconded by Patrick. Close it out for this year, this project, and then restart it again next year. All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And then lastly, item 11, consideration and possible action on new projects proposed to be completed by HPC in 2025, including establishment of timeline to complete each task. Peter?
Yeah, we are kind of running short on time on this
Yeah.
one, so we may need to just kind of clip this one off and do this as a February agenda
Okay.
item. That would be my recommendation.
Okay.
So would we table it then?
Yeah,
I think we can table it.
I would, I would just table this until the next meeting, where we don't have enough time to effectively
Yeah.
complete
The
this
meeting
project
in,
or this agenda item.
we have another meeting in December.
And I'll just comment, before our next, well, there is supposed to be a meeting in December, but it's right before Christmas, so there's been discussion about possibly not meeting it until February.
Okay.
Oh.
Sounds good.
But that gives us plenty of time for everyone to think about ideas they have for projects for next year. Every year we try to do 2 education projects, as I mentioned, try to target 6 properties for national and state designation. And then, try to see if we can maybe get another CLG grant to get a property on the register. So those are the ones that are kind of, we do every year, but if you have other ideas for projects for next year, you can bring those to the February meeting, so. Perfect. All right, so I'll make, go ahead, Kathy.
What is the CLG?
Yes.
Certified.
Certified Local Government Grant.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Basically, it's, the money comes from the Department of Interior, and then the Wisconsin Historical Society distributes the money. But you have to be a certified local government, a CLG government, to be eligible for the money, and De Pere is one, so.
All right.
Okay.
Good. I knew that from all
So,
other
yeah.
reading.
So that's where we get our money to do like the nomination forms and stuff, so. And usually you can only get 1 grant per year, so. All right, so I'll make a motion to table this.
I'll second that.
Motion by me, seconded by Gene to table, which means they'll come back before, or at the next meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries, thank you. And be open to a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second
that.
Or,
All right, motion by Patrick, seconded by Mark to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.